of America. I'm Steve. You're ready to fight for you from the foxhole of freedom, giving you better analysis and insight than anyone else. Shining a spotlight into the darkness of the political media industrial complex. What a swamp. Delivering the relentless pursuit of truth. Here are three big things you need to know to start your day today, Monday. Number one, Fox News has done the complete ratings faceplant ever since it booted Tucker from the primetime slot at 8 o'clock. Tucker, meanwhile, has millions and millions of followers. Number two, a wicked tanker fire in Philly caused a section of I-95 to just collapse. Too bad we didn't build those pipelines that are far safer for all of us. Gee, let's truck it around. Number three, the tail of the tape. That's what it may all come down to right now for the former president of the United States, because it's quite clear at this moment in history that Joe Biden is not the statesman that Gerald Ford was. In fact, it's quite clear that Joe Biden favors political vendettas and power over the future of our great nation. Gerald Ford knew that pardoning Richard Nixon was not going to be popular at all. But he also knew it was the only way forward for America. If Joe Biden and the Democrats cared about where this nation is headed, he too would take the high road and pardon his predecessor, the 45th president. Sure, he would take heat for it, but it is the right thing to do. And anyone with an eye on where you will be in 5, 10, or 25 years knows that's correct. However, the rabid politics of divide and conquer have taken hold in America. It's not about what is right, but rather about raw power and running it down the throats of political opponents. It's clear. The Democrats have always been the more ruthless of the two major political parties, and that has never been more clear than it is today. Tomorrow, the DOJ will, for the first time in American history, drag a political rival and leading candidate in front of a judge for an arraignment that will forever stain this nation and devalue what it has been, and it will devalue what it will be going forward. America has always been above the petty political dictatorships with tyrannical leaders, hammering political opponents with the power of the police state and the government hammer. But today, that is soon going to be nothing more than a quaint memory. Joe Biden could do the right thing, pardon Donald Trump for what he may or may not have done wrong, but sadly Biden is a little man, no better than what he and his others have left on the left, that is, accused the 45th president of being. You can judge by what people say, like Joe Biden, claiming he wants to reunite and bring America together, or you can judge people by what they actually do. Like Joe Biden sitting idly by, licking ice cream with a vacant look in his eye, while vicious partisans rip the other side apart with no regard about the future at all. Actions truly speak louder than words. My mother always said that, Joey. And Joe Biden would do well to heed such a warning, but clearly that is far too late. It's not going to happen. Which brings me back to the tape, or tapes. It could be more. Right now, nobody's clear on what's floating around. Richard Nixon was ultimately brought down by what was on tape and by what was not. And today, we're told that there is a recording of President Trump in 2021 exclaiming that he had the evidence of some of the things General Milley and the others had done. The problem, if it's true, it means that Trump is admitting on tape to having classified documents in his possession, that he knew it, and that he also knew he should have declassified them before leaving the presidency. It is a big problem. And no matter what you think about President Trump, if you are concerned about national security, if you think Hillary Clinton and her illegal private email server that was hacked by foreign governments was a problem, and it was, by the way, then you will have a very hard time saying with a straight face Donald Trump on tape possibly admitting to having classified documents is not a problem. You can't have it both ways. We can't have it both ways. Either we stand for the rule of law across the board or we don't. Now, having said that, clearly Donald Trump is being targeted in a two-tier justice system. Former Attorney General Bill Barr says Donald Trump is in genuine legal jeopardy because of the latest indictments. Listen to this.
Well, it started out under the Presidential Records Act and the archives trying to retrieve documents that Trump had no right to have. But it quickly became clear that what the government was really worried about were these classified and very sensitive documents. I was shocked by the degree of sensitivity of these documents and how many there were, frankly. And so the government's agenda was to get those, protect those documents and get them out. And I think it was perfectly appropriate to do that. It was the right thing to do. And I think the counts under the Espionage Act that he willfully retained those documents are solid counts. Now, I do think we have to wait and see what the defense says and what proves to be true. But I do think that even half what Andy McCarthy said, which is if even half of it is true, then he's toast. I mean, it's a very detailed indictment, and it's very, very damning.
Very damning. He's toast. Well, A.G. Barr, love him, hate him, whatever it may be, he gives a very sober reflection on what's in those documents. He says Trump has been a victim of attacks in the past. He admits that. He says he's been there with him for it, but he says this is not that. Listen.
Yes, he's been a victim in the past. Yes, his adversaries have obsessively pursued him with phony claims, and I've been at his side defending against them when he is a victim. But this is much different. He's not a victim here. He was totally wrong that he had the right to have those documents. Those documents are among the most sensitive secrets that the country has. They have to be in the custody of the archivist. He had no right to maintain them and retain them. And he kept them in a way at Mar-a-Lago that anyone who really cares about national security, their stomach would churn at it.
All right, so there it is. You can't have it both ways. All right, either we care about national security or we don't. Now, having said that, I repeat again, Hillary Clinton was given a pass, a free pass, on her likely criminal behavior by James Comey. When as FBI director, he said no prosecutor would go forward on her case when that was absolutely not true. She destroyed evidence, ignored subpoenas, gave the finger to the entire legal process. And in fact, Hillary did get a pardon. She was pardoned by the whole system. The same is true right now with Hunter Biden and Daddy. I mean, we now have very credible evidence that at least $10 million flowed from Ukraine to the pair in exchange for political favors. And the truth is, a lot more will follow. We're going to learn more. Here's the jam. You cannot just rely on whataboutism. Well, what about this? What about that? You cannot just say, well, Hillary didn't get prosecuted and Hunter is getting away with murder, which is all true, and then say, well, Donald Trump did nothing wrong. If he had those documents, my friends, it's a problem. It is a problem. And right now it looks like the former president may well have done something wrong. But it's also clear that we have no longer equal treatment under the law. Yes, these are all problems. However, let me say this. President Trump continues to get higher poll numbers and a big flush of cash. Every time the very partisan and very biased DOJ sets its sights on him in a very unequal fashion, and make no mistake, even if convicted, Donald Trump could certainly be reelected president, especially if the crooked and senile Joe Biden remains on the ticket for 2024. Oh, what a mess. What a mess it is. Jonathan Turley addressed the double standard as this reflection. Listen real quick.
There is a legitimate objection to how the Department of Justice has handled past investigations against people like Hillary Clinton. There are many people that believe that she should have been charged. But each case stands on its own when it goes to court. The selective prosecution arguments are not likely to be raised successfully in court.
No, they're probably not, and we're going to get more from Turley in just a moment. But again, you can't have it both ways. Either you stand for the rule of law or you don't. Prosecutions aside, we have to make an honest assessment of what's here. Is there a tape? They say there is, but CNN, are they to be trusted? Generally, very an iffy proposition. We'll have more on this as we dig deeper. Straight ahead. Good to have you here on a Monday.